Welcome to Inside Richmond, the official vodcast of Richmond Rugby Club. My name is Tom Soulsby, and today we're joined by Richmond legend and renowned personal trainer, Mel Deane. Mel, a huge welcome to the show. How are you, and how is life going?
Tom, thank you very much, Tom. Sorry to butt in. All is good. All well, as well it can be. Anybody in this, everybody's adapting, aren't they? You just have to suck it and see, do the best you can from the next minute. What can I do best from now? Always, that's probably how I would do most of my things, really. Training, living, whatever. What's the best I can do from now? Whatever's gone on before.
We'll obviously got a lot to chat to you today about, in particular your Richmond career, but we'll touch on that a bit later. But firstly, let's chat about what you're doing now, and that's your personal training. Was that something you always wanted to get into?
Well, my dad manages pubs and has managed pubs since I was a young fella, and so I know how to run pubs. So it was either be a publican or train people. And I always train people, even since I was 14, I was training people to get into the cadets, the police force back in the day. So it was one or the other, and I thought it was a better life choice for me to be training because I love training. And I suppose if you're enthusiastic about something, it resonates to other people around you. And so luckily enough, I have enough clients now to pick the clients I want to train and want to keep, rather than at the start when you had to train everybody and they would, if you say, okay, let's get on the rower to give us a couple of minutes on the rower, and they'd say, do I have to? And not in the jokey sense, I'd be like, this is going to be hard. And so I couldn't train a lot of people like that. If they're not positive, I won't be training them. Simple as that. And so, because they used to drain the life out of me, and I kind of emulate energy, hopefully, when I'm trying to train people. But if you get to pick the people you train, you pick the people that are energized themselves, and you just go, give me 10 of those, 12 of those, pick that up, put that down, run here, jump there, and then you don't have to, come on, you're going to be all right, come on, lash them a couple of times with a stick. That doesn't have to happen, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because that kills me, that drains me, you know what I mean? But yeah. So luckily I've managed to have a couple of clients that I've kept for a long time. I have a couple of Richmond members that I've had for over 10 years. Legend that is Mike Hobbs, Stevie Moore, Peter Moore's son. I have a couple of people that are up there in the 10-year category. So it's great. Love it.
You obviously spoke about some of your clients there. You've got some big clients, obviously. You got Rio Ferdinand,
yes.
Kirsty Gallagher. But you also just spoke to me off air about Niall Horan.
Yeah, Niall Horan. Yeah.
That's the one. Can you sort of touch on those relationships and how they all came about?
I think the first person that I trained that was pretty well known was Gabby Logan, because I know Kenny pretty well. I used to play up in Sale with Brian Redpath, and Ratty Redpath was great friends with Kenny Logan, and you end up playing against him and bantering and all that kind of jazz. And so I ended up training Gabby initially, and then Catherine Jenkins, really, and then I got a couple of other ones, and then pals. I knew friends who knew Chris Hemsworth, and then you get to train a couple of people, and then they realize you don't say anything about them or you don't spill any beans, I suppose, and it then starts a relationship. And I have Kirsty Gallagher, and so there's a few there that I've trained that know that I don't say anything, and hopefully I do an all right job, and that lets them come back. And so I only had Kirsty there before Niall, and I have had Kirsty for 4 years as well. So you get to build a relationship with people, and I'm not that annoying to be around, even though you have to be hated in some respect for them to do the drills if you're trying to push them on. But yeah, Rio would swear at you when you're trying to push him on and get him into a horrible place, especially with the boxing. It's all very well training and just to put on size or whatever, what he wanted initially. But then when he was trying to box, I had to put him in a horrible place. And the language he used to say to me. But yeah, they're all, everybody's the same. But that's the thing. Even though if they're famous, everybody's the same. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And if I train one company that I train the directors of the company, and I train the company. But the directors, everybody goes, ooh, they're the directors, and they have there's a totally different atmosphere when they're there or when it's just me and them, so everybody's the same to me. They still have to pick it up, put it down, be breathing out of their arse, excuse my French, but you know what I mean? That they have to, I have to put them in a hole. I put everybody in a hole. And so it's how everybody responds, each to their own. But when you train successful people, it's an awful lot easier. It's an awful lot easier. And their mindset makes it that bit easier.
You spoke about your, I guess, training everyone just then. During this lockdown period, you've been doing your live workout sessions.
Yes, on a Saturday, yeah.
I haven't done it myself yet because they look pretty brutal. But have you?
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
I've heard stories from the Richmond folk that it's just absolutely brutal. Anyways, have you enjoyed sort of adapting the way you've had to do your work during this period?
Well, I would like to say that I was a grafter, and I would adapt and do the best I can. And you do whatever you have to do, don't you? You just do whatever you have to do. And at the start, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. How am I going to train people? The gym shut down at Richmond. That's where I've set up many people come into the gym. So there's great facilities. You can lift heavy. You can run on the pitches. Ideal for how I want to train people. And then all of a sudden, that's shut down. So I had a couple of bits of my own in the gym that I took out, the kettlebells and some of the bands that I have and little bits that are in the gym. And I ended up I delivered Mike Hobbs, one of the resistance bands, Simon Mudderack, who's one of my clients, is only in St. Margaret. So I was cycling over to them and like lobbing bits at them so they can do Zoom sessions to keep me ticking over because, I wouldn't necessarily be the best at saving or squirreling money away. So I have to earn, you know what I mean? So luckily I have clients that obviously I'll be the first thing to go. If people have cash on the hip, then maybe they have a trainer. But as soon as they can't earn, bang, Mel, you're out the door. I'm a luxury item. I like to think of myself as a luxury item. No, I'm really taking the mic. But luckily, I have some very, very loyal clients who have managed to stay with me, and I'm very, very privileged to have that, and lucky in some respect.
It's obviously a very challenging period for everyone, but what would be your tip to the Richmond folk around sort of staying both physically and mentally positive at the moment?
Get out and move. Honestly, I've had a couple of shocking days, but then I thought, I just need to train. But that's my thing. But I need to train, and I need to, if you're worried about where your next breath is coming from, everything else goes out the window. If you put yourself in so much of a hole that you're thinking, you can't think of anything else, only surviving that minute. If you think about surviving that minute, everything else is going to pale into insignificance. I'm all right. I'm back. I'm not dying here. I'm okay. For me, that's how I would be. Anyway, so not necessarily people who can't push themselves that much if they've got some issues with their lungs but everybody has a little beast in the basement that they can get out and they can push themselves on a little bit now and again. Hence the Saturday sessions. I've had a lot of messages online about, are you going to keep these up when it's over and all that kind of stuff? So I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. But it's all good.
I love it. Okay, let's move on now. Let's move on to your Richmond career. I guess where it all started for you. But can you sort of explain your story of getting to Richmond? I think you came to the club in 1996. Is that right?
That's when I signed my professional contract at Richmond. Yes, but I was at Wasps from 16 to 21 and played with all the Waspies kind of legends. I was just a little bit younger than them, and And then I went, because Pete Halsell, who is an Irish Exiles coach, said, come to Richmond, we'd like to have you. And I was at Brunel at the time, Brunel University, with Richard Hale, and there was legends there at Brunel University. It was like Loughborough was the sporting university, but they had to do some studying as well. But Brunel, they kind of, if you were good enough at rugby, you kind of snuck in a little bit. That's how it tended to be. But they had obviously had the academics there as well, but I got in by the skin of my teeth anyway. And I got to play some great university rugby and win some BUSA championships, for universities. And then at that time I was at Richmond at the end, my last year as a university, and then I got a contract on the 1st of June in that year, and my university finished. My last exam was the 6th of June, so it just overlapped nicely, and I went straight into professional rugby. Very lucky, I have to say there. But I always worked in the pub with my dad in the evenings. I worked in the building sites as a youngster during the summer, which hardened me up a lot, I have to say. Picking up fire doors and wheelbarrow and concrete and all that. I know it's a bit of a cliche that the Irish fellow was working on the building site, but it was great. And then I knew as soon as I'm a professional rugby player, anything I do is never going to be as playing rugby, training, lifting, smashing people. It's what I love to do. And then I was getting paid to do it. So I was going to do it to the best of my ability. And even though I played as a youngster with much, I'd say much more talented players and better passers, kickers, everything. But they maybe some of them didn't have the same kind of determination. Maybe I would say that's what I'd have got in kind of lumps. So that set me on my way, if you know what I mean. But and so I came to Richmond with Pete Halsell, signed the contract in '96, and then played until we were handed our P45s. Get out! There's no more money. Get out! Yeah, and I played in the last game. Actually, someone messaged me, or I think it was you might have put it up about Bedford there a little while ago. Somebody messaged me only recently to say, "Have you played at Bedford before?" I went, "The last time I played at Bedford, I played for Richmond in the highest scoring Premiership game ever, and I was wearing Pichot's white boots before white boots were like anybody wore white boots really, although Pichot had them. And then." And I scored a hat trick in that game. But that was the last time I played in Bedford, and for Richmond as a professional. That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Speaking about
shit the bed. Oh, sorry. Whoops.
Yeah, that's fine. Speaking about professionalism, Mel, what was Richmond like during that period? What was it like as a club?
Oh, that was a brilliant. Obviously, it was the first time. I left uni as a pro playing rugby, and then you had British car contracts or a new car. I didn't know myself, basically. Literally didn't know myself. Hanging around with Pichot. He was paying more tax than I was earning. So it was like if we were laughing at our paychecks. It was funny. But it was great to hang around with Pichot, and it was a great time, just a great time for those couple of years as a professional before the money ran out, so to speak. Brilliant. And those superstars, all Ben Clark and the Cornell boys and all the Welshies that were there. And, I was in the centre with Batman, Alan Bateman. I learned a lot off him. What a player, what a legend, what a top man. Everybody, there were just some great people. Some wheels on the wings, some absolute savages. Jim Fallon running over people. There was a whole mixed bag of talent everywhere, which was great, which was really great.
You mentioned Gus Pichot there. In particular, he's a close friend of yours, I believe. Can you sort of chat about your friendship with him and how that developed over time?
He used to live here in Sheengate Gardens in East Sheen, and I used to live with him, and he used to pay for everything, which was great. And Pichot, we got on very well. And when his dad wasn't well, I ended up driving him to the airport. It was like a crazy week. We'd play at the Medeski. We'd like get our gear on, hospitality for a half an hour. You'd say, how did the game go? Did you enjoy? Yeah. In the car, driving to Gatwick, he'd jump on the plane, he'd fly out to Buenos Aires, he'd be there till the Wednesday, come back, I go collect him, land Thursday, team run, Friday, play, out the gap again. That happened week after week after week. And because his dad was very ill at that time, but obviously John Kingston and Peach had a good relationship, and he could miss out on the training during the week or whatever. But he had skills to burn, to be fair, skills. So he got away with it, the little weasel, little greasy weasel.
But it sounds like he was living the dream. You mentioned before you played with a lot of Richmond legends. Who would you rate as the best player that you played with at the club?
At Richmond, the best. I think the most successful would have been Peach. Scotty Q was a phenomenal player. So was Craigie, John Davis, Barry Williams. There's so many good players there. Honestly, Dominic Chapman in his day, honestly, nobody could finish like him. Jim Fallon had run over everybody. Matt Pinney was a great fullback. I mean, there were so many good players. That first match at the Medeski Stadium for me in that last season was a great day, I have to say. It was the first game, all the synthetic, there was the proper grass and the synthetic grass. It was like a billiard table, and I was playing against Rob Andrew and Tate and, some Lions, and then Vaiga Twigamal on the wing coming into the centre, and that was a big day for me. That was everybody on Richmond side was an international apart from me on that day. So it was that was a great day. I remember that in Richmond colours. That would probably be one of my favourite days, I have to say. One of the favourites. Live on Sky, big game against Newcastle. Yeah. And to be fair, Vaiga Twigamal, I half tackled him, held on to him as anybody would with the runaway bull, and I was the wrong side. And Dean Ryan and Archer, I think it was, started to go to town on me, stand on me. The way you could rock back in the day, which was walk all over them. And Inga put his arms over my head so they didn't burst my head with their boots. I was he's a legend. But see, I later played with Apollo Perlini up in Sale, and they were in a school team together. And Junior Parrymore.
Oh wow.
Inga, Apollo, and Junior. Oh my God, those three boys in the one team. So I got to know Inga a little bit better after that because of Apollo, him being such a gentleman, you know what I mean. But that was a great day. That was a really good. That's when I knew I was a professional. Before I was kind of hamming it up a bit. Then before I was like, I'm in this. I'm in it.
You mentioned a great day there for Richmond. Obviously, the bad day was when everyone had to leave and move off because of the club was in deep financial trouble. What was that like?
Yeah. I remember being in the sports bar, as it is now, the sports bar with all the boys, and they were telling us the club is in administration and it is no more, and there's nobody keeping any contracts, and they were literally handing out the P45s like this, bang, 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 handing them out. And I was like, I didn't get one. There was a couple of lads that didn't get one. I'm like, what's happening here? Well, the Middlesex Sevens is on this weekend, and we're going to enter a team, because we enter the team, and there's £20,000 prize money, and then you can win some of the money back for the administration into admission. And we were like, wait a second, hold on. So so we have there's no medical stuff here. This is not going to happen. And we have going forward, there's nothing, but you just want us to play for that. And we were like, no. And then when everyone was like, it's not happening, then they kind of went, okay, we'll have to get the other P45s. But that was a sad day. Sad day. Yep. I must admit, sad day.
Yeah. Obviously, you then went off and you played for Connacht, you played for Sale, you played up the road for Quins, had a great career, obviously. You came close to representing Ireland, very close.
Yes.
But after all that, I read Peter Moore was the man that brought you back to Richmond.
Yes, he was. Yes,
Can you
because
speak about that?
Yeah, he was. He knew I was into S&C and training people, and I loved that side of it. And he like just put a little, oh, maybe you could come back and do it for the club. I was like, really? Yeah. I was like, bang. That's because I could have maybe had another year somewhere playing, but I knew I had to bite the bullet somewhere to get back to London because my wife's family were in Watford, and that was my thinking at the time. Move back there, have some support with my dad is in Boreham Wood, and my sister she was away in America at the time. But it would be more, London would have been the base where I was, and kind of get work to get back there. And I knew that if I was going to be a PT, that people needed some cash on the hip, and that would London would be the place for me. That's what I thought, and I thought that would be a great foothold. I could train the Richmond boys, and I think it was a very good thing for me because it wasn't such a drop off a cliff. I was still in a rugby atmosphere. I was still with the boys, still had the banter, still had that feeling around me, rather than the fellas who retire and then bang, there's no more rugby. They're in the city, they're out, they're eating and socializing and all that stuff that the people they want them to do, companies wanted them to do because, oh, we now have a professional rugby player. Oh, come out and eat. And that's what happened to a lot of the lads. They go up the city and they just, someone looks like someone stuck a hose pipe up them and then just went, and they just like go out like a ball. But yes, yeah, it was a great time and thank you to Peter Moore for bringing me back here. And his son is actually one of my long-time clients. I absolutely persecute him, Stevie Moore. And people love to see me persecuting him. I think the fact they want him to fight back so much, they want him to go, Jesus, just knock him out. Yeah, but yes, that was coming back to Richmond, which was great. It was brilliant for me.
Brilliant. Well, we'll move on now to the questions from our followers on social media, members and so forth.
Yes.
They've got some more questions about your time at the club. So let's get into it. First question from a Richmond member. Who was your favourite coach as a player?
As a player in Richmond, I was only the one coach with JK, John Kingston. As a player, I actually like coaches that let you do what you do. If a coach says to you, I want you to do this, 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 and then you're kind of narrowed down to have to do this. This is what I'm told to do, but I actually like coaches that say, and that got the best out of me. I want you to go and I want you to play, and you know what you do well, and you know what you have to improve on, and you just go and play. For me, they're definitely the coaches that I would perform best for. And because you have that, I can do. They have confidence in me to do that. You go and you play your best. You play, and then you don't have that pressure on you. When you have someone trying to be very regimented in how you play, actually, I like a little bit of a regime. I want you to pass here, you're going to hit there, everybody's going to clean out, and then everybody's going to flood here, and then we pick off people. Something like that. I in my head, that's what I like to do. That's good. And I like to be, because if someone's accountable, then if nobody's cleaned out that rock or this rock, where were you? And then people know that has to be adhered to, and then you didn't do this, that's why you're dropped. That's why stats are great, but then you can make them say whatever you want. If a coach doesn't want to pick you, he doesn't want to pick you.
Very good. Good answer. Another question here. What was your best away trip as a Richmond player?
What was my best away trip? I think maybe the one we went to Newcastle and we stayed there overnight, and the snow was out there and we just had to head back. We're just there for the crack. It was just a bit of a gallery. What was the best away trip? I'm trying to think. Best away trip? Jeez, I don't know. Actually, I did have some fun when we played. That was at Harlequin. I'm thinking of JK. I was at Harlequins then, but that made me think it was JK. But it was a trip to Spain. But it was a very easy match in Spain, so everyone was fairly relaxed. So it was carnage basically. But lots of fun, and the rugby wasn't taken as seriously as it should have been. Needless to say, Kingo flipped the lid, and it was a funny weekend. But we were all right. We won.
Sounds sensational.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Was it more of an achievement to play for Richmond in the Premiership, or play for the Richmond Heavies?
That's from a heavy. That has to be from a heavy. I don't know who that is, but yeah, I love playing for the Heavies, but they drive me mental because they were only I'd say 15 years too old for the rest of the fellas we play against, and then we come up in a line, and the people we play against would do one switch. And then I'd look back like this, and all our forwards are 30 meters back that way. And they're running up there, hey, there's nobody up there. And they just mow down there. And then I said, where the hell are you, lads? The lads they get a little bit, I get frustrated with them, and then they get frustrated with me. So, but I'm getting too old now. I'm so much happier when people run at me. You know what I mean? Rather than these little steppers that go and then start going, no, but run at me. Come on, we're all right. I don't mind that. I don't mind a bit of confrontation. That's actually all I miss. All I miss from playing rugby is that, slamming into people.
Very good.
It's bonkers, I know.
Okay, another one here. Who was the laziest Richmond player during your fitness sessions when you were S&C coach?
Oh my God. Oh, I can't do that. Who asked that? I need to know who asked that.
It was an anonymous email, that one.
It was whatever. Who was the laziest? Oh, Jesus. There was a couple of lazy hooers, let me tell you. But actually, that is the thing. It's a fine line. It's a fine line when you are with an outfit that is not professional. These boys, they want to be treated as a professional as much as possible, but at the same time, they can't be treated as a professional because that's not their job. And they can't be drilled into the ground. You have to tinker along a fine line to get the best out of them with a little bit of fun, but you can lose people, I think, in that. It's like, forget him. He only makes you want to do this and do. But I think, luckily, because I played, and I played for Richmond, and they knew I played for Quins and Richmond before, and Sale and all that, and in the time as a professional, I got a little bit of credence, I think, for people to go, well, he did it himself, so I'll buy into it. So I think that bought me a little bit of have a listen in and do as you're told. Luckily, otherwise, because if you had them turning against you, that's not ideal, and they're not doing it as you ask. But we always had a bit of crack. I tried to put a bit of fun to it, but at the same time, I wanted to be serious. I don't want them to be taking the piss out of on any field. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Good answer. You dodged the question. I love it.
I wouldn't be able to tell you who would. Well, obviously, some of the props would dodge some of the longer stuff, but they work the beans off in games. So as long as they're working hard, I don't mind.
Very good. Here we go then. From Matt Brown on Instagram. If you could play with a past Richmond player again, who would it be and why?
It'd probably be Pichot, because the last game as a professional, he retired the same year as I did, in 2009, and he invited me to play in Buenos Aires with him and all his old pals and his international pals and his school pals, and we all played with number 9 on our back, and there was a mixture of pals and older internationals and current internationals, and it was a brilliant weekend. And I was there only maybe 5 hours or so, and I had met Diego Maradona and And he's renowned like by the rugby lads. You can see all the rugby lads go, oh, Diego, you know, that kind of. He's a bit of a legend there, needless to say. But so is Pichot. Pichot is a bit of a legend. And I'm thinking, what? Pichot, a legend? He's the greasy monkey. He's the lad I live with. How is he such a freaking? How is he such a legend over there? But over time, you realise that he did a lot for RG Rugby, you know, and for Richmond Rugby as well, really. So so I understand the admiration, so to speak. So it would be Pichot.
Very good. Next question from Mel and Teo here. Have you ever, I think this is a bit of an inside joke, have you ever seen red mist in a game of touch rugby? I'm not really sure what she's talking about.
Yeah, well, she's talking about red mist. Look, I am a very polite individual. Yeah. Very, very polite and mannerly. But if anybody is gobby and they're cheeky, I won't have a problem in confronting it. I do not have a problem in confrontation. Yeah. That is, I grew up around confrontation and been in a pub with dad. And when you're in a pub with your dad as the manager and a fight breaks out and everybody wants to flatten the manager, I'm well used to being in rough situations. So I have no problem in saying it to anybody. And so this is in a touch game in playing for one of the Richmond heavy sides or something, some little cat weasel like shoulder barged me. I was like, is he taking the piss? And so everyone said, oh my God, he's seeing red mist in a touch game. So it was just, I just don't like people taking the piss. And that's why I'm uber polite. So if I'm uber polite and you take the piss out of me, I have every right to come down on you like a ton of bricks. So I think that's what Mel is alluding to. Thank you very much, Mel. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Great answer. Okay, mate, here we go. We've got a bit of a serious question now from Lawrence. So have fun with this. Do you think the demise of rugby clubs of old is directly related to the pocket lining of the RFU?
Jesus, what a question. I mean, that's so serious. Is he serious asking me that question? Holy God. Are they lining their pockets? Are they? I don't know. I would have to say I would probably be the least informed professional rugby player ever. People with other lads I'd play with, they'd say a name and I'd say, who's your man? And they'd say, what? Well, you played against him last week. I was like, oh, okay. I wouldn't be necessarily that informed about rugby and the rugby situation, but I was trying to follow it when Pichot was trying to get in to be the president of the International Rugby Foundation or whatever. So, but I could not answer that with any level of intelligence that would say, good point, because I don't have a point. I really don't. Are they taking money? I don't know. Are they taking money? Are the old farts? ? That Will Carling got in trouble for saying the old farts. You know, I mean, come on. Is that really a question to ask me on a?
Well, we're going to give it a pass. We'll leave that.
Yeah, we'll leave that at the pass for sure.
One final question. This one's from Nick Dark. He's asked you, Mel, would it be possible to please wear bigger shorts?
No is the answer there. No, I get a lot of people slagging me off for wearing my shorts. They actually aren't. I don't know why they look so short on me, but maybe because I have a bit of a hole on me. My arse is quite big, so it pulls it at the back and then it kind of pulls it up at the front. So everyone thinks my shorts are really short until I know I trained one of the fellas from Lululemon, and he said, Mel, I thought of you because Lululemon now do 3-inch shorts. I was like, send them over. So I have like these lime green 3-inch shorts that I wore on a live session, on a Saturday live, and it was just for the crack, basically, just for the bit of gallery. And needless to say, people slag me off left, right, and centre, but it's something, you know, it's a bit of a giggle. It's just a bit of a giggle. It's not too serious. I'm telling people to pick things up and put things down and get their heart rate up and be in a horrible place for just a little while, and that's all. So So have a giggle in the middle. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Mel, you've been a legend, and obviously you're a champion of our club. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for asking those questions, and well, no thanks to that funny question, but otherwise, thanks a million.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much again, Mel. This has been Inside Richmond, the official vodcast of Richmond Rugby Club. Tune in next week for another episode.